I was supposed to poke fun about my weight. And I was always a victim of his jokes because it was some lighty. He was in King Kong. When he was in King Kong, I was at high school, at medical school. I couldn't afford to attend the shows. But I used to get to the show and wait for you to come and carry his trumpet into the hall. As a result of that, I saw a number of King Kong shows. At one stage now, we're in New York. He had a show, and he said I must accompany him to the show. When we got to the door, he says, "Fang bigidi trumpet for me." And I held the trumpet innocently. He looks at me and says, "Hey, it's like old days there." I say, you know, I'm a doctor now, I can afford to pay my you can't push me around. And you had a lot of jokes about me. For instance, in Safari Town at one stage, ons was lastig, ons het cherries gejag. The guys wanted to beat up Hugh, submarine, Zinger. And this guy was big, he could beat all of us up. And we called him a Zinger. Zinger beat that guy with one shot, and it was closed. Zinger, thank you for that. And at one stage in LA, there was a party. I was in I attended medical schools in the US. So he picked me up at the hotel. He says, there's a show for Quincy Jones party. Can we go? So coming from South Africa, you know, it was a Jewish haslat. There am I, dressed up with a Botany 500, Stacey Adams. I'm going to this party. Hugh comes to me and says, yeah, man, this is a party for situations. Change, draw bogart. I said, Hugh, I don't draw bogarts. You know. He says, okay, let's go. We get to the party, and he introduces me to the party as a prince from Africa. That's why I'm dressed. Everybody was paying tribute to me. That's Hugh Masekela. I like to poke fun on everybody. But the last one, which I was one not to mention, we're having a drinking session with Hositila, Hugh Masekela in New York. And Hositila says to me, Mar Gigi, what can I do with you? You come all the way from Joburg to learn about women's diseases in America. Why did you say we should teach you? We knew about them at home. That was Hugh. He had an impeccable brain. He was eloquent, impeccable, incisive brain, and he had an opinion about everything. You cannot tell Hugh anything. He's got a good opinion about it. But he was an intellectual, par excellence. He was comfortable with the poor, the indigent, and he used to dine with kings and princes and queens. Hugh had a hell of a brain heart. If he had taken the academic route, he would have been a professor and was an ambassador of Africa. He talked so well about Africa. He was dedicated to see Africa grow up to its level. And he was known and respected by everybody. Wherever you go, Hugh is respected, is loved by the African. And we used to bask in his glory. Exactly, so he used to show me. Then we get the girls, you see. And my heart lies there with you. He was always, if he had died, he would say, somebody has left the building. That was his saying. But this time he has left the building, and we will miss him. We'll miss him physically, but we'll always be with him through his music and through his lifestyle. We always remember he would come up at various times. And I would like to read a piece of what Hugh would have said to us today. He would have said, death is nothing at all, I've slipped away into the next room. I am I and you are you. Whatever we were to each other, that we are still. Call me by my old name. Speak to me in an easy way, which you always used. There's no difference in your tone. There must be no difference in your tone. Wear no false air of solemnity or sorrow. Laugh as we always laughed at little jokes we enjoy together. Play, smile, think of me. You, I want to pay tribute to you. I will miss you, in spite of that. Okay. Hambagahle. Hugh's name, when we used to call him Hug, we didn't know Hugh is Hugh Masekela and Bengi. We didn't know Hugh is Hug. We got to know that Hug is Hugh is pronounced like that. But Hambagahle, Hugh. Thank you.
A few minutes ago, I spoke about Lefty Mtembu and Msomis, and what we didn't do with what Gigi didn't tell you is that at one stage, Lefty Mtembu and his friends forced Gigi to eat a whole chicken, and then they forced him into the boot of a car. He was only saved by George Patley, and to that, he was eternally grateful to George Patley having saved him from that ordeal. I'd like now to call Don Ngube, who's also from Alexander, a very close friend of Hugh, to say a few words in tribute. Come, Madonna.
Yes, Sanbonani. I think a lot of people must have said some things about Hugh, but I thought maybe it will be appropriate. I think that is the right thing to do, to salute him. Can we just stand up and say, O kholo lwami ndonyuka nalo, kholo lwami ndonyuka nalo, dilubabeke esandla ngiyongena nalo ekhaya ezulwini. Ndonyuka nalo, ukholo lwami, ndonyuka nalo, dilubabeke esandla ngiyongena nalo ekhaya ezulwini. Hayo mathanda, hayo mathanda, hayo mathanda.
All right, friends, family and relatives of the late Hugh Masekela gathering at the San Copano Community Center in Alexandra to celebrate the life of Hugh Masekela. Let's take you back there. We have that feedback for you.
In Maumbono, you could see that smile is Gabra Hugh, which was a bewitching smile. It was an infectious smile. It was a beaming smile. But let me tell you, behind that radiant face, there was a man of steel, an icon, an activist of international
problems with that feed. This, of course, is just one of the commemorations in Hugh Masekela's honor. The main memorial service will be held in Soweto on Sunday. So just listening to some friends and family that have gathered to honor him and speaking about his life and his legacy.
A patronage network.
All right, we apologize. That feed
those wonderful young people wearing whites who gave us some awesome renditions earlier on. This is a band called Complete, and they're going to do a song now called Lizzy. Please give them a round of applause.
Ladies and gentlemen, the man we are about to pay tribute to, he was a very energetic man. He would go down like this. So we just want to capture that spirit. So you're going to enjoy this song. We've been taught by this great legendary person, Lizzy. Enjoy it. Lizzy, 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 akukho ntombi engithandayo, kuthi mangizule uma ngicabanga ngawe, uyobu yanini star.
Spirit right here. Say yeah, yeah. Say yeah, yeah, yeah. Say yeah, 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 yeah. That's the energy of the
And he's right about that. Complete. Who's the manager? Can I be the manager so I can get the numbers for you? So they can book you some more. Absolutely awesome stuff. While we wait for a family friend, in fact, long-time friend, Sibiletso Matabane to come on stage. She's here, I saw her, yeah, she comes, yeah. Maybe, and especially because she's a long-time friend, maybe we'll hear stories from her about Bra Hugh. You know, Bra Hugh left the country, as we all know, Sharpeville was something else. And, you know, because of the hard times of then, music was being shut down, and he had to leave the country. And he went to England, he went to New York, and he went to study. And you know, life in the US is not really nice when you're alone, young man. You need a woman by your side. And especially if that woman is also a professional woman. And you meet the likes of Mama Miriam Makeba, well, you know what will happen there? Professional relationship that tend to love and produce some magical music. And of course, there are some in this room who were there during those times, and including the likes of Harry Belafonte. And you know, with the production talents of the likes of Jonas Gwangwa, who's here with us today, that's why we get to celebrate the music of Bra Hugh to this extent. But from a friend and a family member for years to come, I don't even want to imagine the number of stories that she has. Please put your hands together for Sibelezo Matabane.
I'm good. Dumelang. I'm not as tall as Notemba. It was difficult for me to decide on what to say about Huey. One, I'm not as funny as he is, or he was, and he had endless stories and could narrate them in whatever accent he chose to. So I'm not even going to pretend to sort of get there. But I just wanted to talk about Huey as a brother, a friend, as you have heard before. Kana neri ipopari getsa family masika. Ka hone o go kgakala utlole wani ko America. You have to have support. And what was good was that by the time I got there, it really was easy. There was a small group of South African students. But Hugh were sort of like the professionals. And so you had predominantly the students and the ones who were still learning, but also would have some gigs and make some money. So he became one of those that became a mentor and part of family. Now, I come from Sophia Town, so I can't really say much about Alex. We used to talk about which was a better Gussie. Sophia Town, but I think we had better music than Alex. Well, we did. Ain't it? We did. But anyway, you know, what was good about Huey, at least, you know, at the time I got there, was that we're South Africans, we didn't have money, we're poor, but he would have these gigs all over Manhattan. So I'd always told, you know, with everybody else going to these jazz clubs, I have no idea whether they gave him just however many complimentary tickets he wanted, because I know that we didn't pay. And we would just rock up because we knew where he was playing. We would always get in for free, and sometimes also get some drinks for free too. So it was really, yeah, it was really, really nice. And what was beautiful was that sometimes at some of these gigs, you look around the room and there's James Baldwin, out there, and, some of the notable writers and, other artists. So it was really a very beautiful environment to grow up in. I'm not going to take long. I was just going to give you perhaps 2 examples. One time, Ntiani and I went to visit Jabu and Huey. They lived in sort of upstate New York, and they had a house which is like a farmhouse. And Jabu cooked up a storm. It was wonderful. And the weather was really nice, and they had a little lake, sort of, in the middle of the property. She cooked up this, it was a braai, as I remember. And in the kitchen, she had cooked some pap. So when it was time to serve, I get my plate, I put some meat, and I go to the kitchen. And there are footsteps following me. But by the time Huey got to the kitchen, I was already there, standing by the stove, because nakini kibata bohoho. And as it turns out, that's the crust that you get when you make pap. We had a grand laugh, but because I was there first, I told him that I will share with him, but I'm going to take however much I needed. So we got back to the outside, and the pap was there, but we had something better. But that's how down to earth he was. I mean, he really was, didn't have any airs. I do indeed recall quite a number of times when he would visit. We used to live in Woodstock for a while, until it got crowded because there were so many tourists coming in to see Woodstock, and who was reading poetry at the coffee shop, and wanting to find out where some of the musicians lived. And as a resident of Woodstock, we would refuse to tell them, because they were ours. We didn't want people, barging in, wanting to find out where, and ending up at people's doors, and literally people's doors, because you didn't have fences and all of that, so you could just walk up to somebody's gate. And so we moved out outside. And whenever Huey wanted to chill, he would call and would come to our place. There were times when there would be other people who were going to be staying there, other friends, for a few days, but he really didn't care. It was no big deal. We always had extra foam rubber mattresses for people who would come in, and we didn't have enough beds. And so he'll just haul one, and in the living room, just put it up there, and he would sleep there for several days while chilling. I guess there were times when life would get too hectic and he'd have so much fun, he needed a little break. And he knew exactly where to go to get that, which is wonderful. I too sort of try to cook nice, but not like some other people. But it was great. I do recall one of the times when we're still there, Huey comes with Mabusha. In the morning, we make breakfast, and Huey said, yeah, he'll eat that. Mabusha would not eat. I mean, he would eat, but Mabusha would start telling stories. I remember he was reading, 100 Dalmatians, that book. Mabusha would read it and reread it and reread it, just anything to stop eating. And I thought, I don't know, Barbara really, maybe Huey lacks parenting skills, but he really didn't sweat it. Indeed, by the time we were ready for lunch, Mabusha had finished his breakfast, and he boasted and said, I read far better than my teacher. I'm thinking, well, at 4? He says, yeah, I do. Gave me a newspaper, and of course, he not only read it, but understood what he was reading. So I thought, okay, Huey knows what he's doing, I guess he can indeed raise Mabusha. you know, my fears sort of subsided. Yeah, my fears sort of subsided, and I thought, oh, okay, you know, he can also chill and be a good parent, and had a way of cajoling, you know, little kids. They were able to do what he wanted to do. Hughie, one of the interesting things about him is that he loved sports. I mean, he loved to swim, and he was fanatical about that, and sometimes he'd go to the Y and just play basketball there. When he got home, he told me, well, I'm doing Tai Chi. I'm saying, what do you mean you're doing Tai Chi? I'd never seen a black person do Tai Chi, except there was a guy on the way to the airport. He would go early and just stand there and, you know, do his Tai Chi. And I said, do you really do it for real? And he said, yeah, I do it for real. So one was impressed because apart from his music, he knew to also take time for self and really indulge himself in some of the passions that he has. I figured there are many people talking about Hughie, and so I would just sort of limit it to a part of this family. I think one of the things that the legacy that he left us with was a passion for the African continent. And I know how disgusted and outspoken he was about the xenophobic attacks that were happening in the country, because he had lived in many of the countries whose citizens were here and were being harassed and really attacked. That was unpleasant. And all his life, he had been talking about and preaching and singing about a united Africa and appreciative of that. And he had lived, indeed, in many of those countries, quite apart from visiting them. He had collaborated with many musicians from these same countries, and now they are here and being, you know, treated the way, you know, they were. And interestingly, it was only essentially to black Africans, not citizens of other countries. And so it really hit deep and wanted us to do something about it. He has left us with a legacy of respect for human life, respect for the underdog of dogs of this world. And I loved his irreverence. He would speak his mind. He really didn't care. I mean, how you respond to that is your business. He would just lay it out there for, you know, you to deal with, which was really fantastic. I think he leaves us with a legacy that says, here's this man who had enormous talent as a musician with fabulous messages along the way. I hope that we don't just stand here and play his music and enjoy it and leave it there. I think it's important that we need to be advocates for the kind of message he was relaying throughout his life.
Listening there to some of the stories of Hugh Masekela's time abroad, one of the many commemorations and memorials that will be
as to where we come from, because most people, when they think about the three of us, they think of the Union of South Africa. But that's not where we started. I started at the age of 15, singing with a group called the Cats and Jama Kids. And we were in Benoni. That's where my maternal grandmother lived. My mother shipped me away from Alexandra Township and shipped me to Benoni, because in Alex I was becoming a delinquent. And she could not stomach that, precisely because I was the last born of her children. So Benoni was calm. Benoni had nice people, people who did not go about carrying knives and so stabbed so-and-so's son and so on forth. So my mother didn't want that for me. And in Benoni, my mother's family, the Matupas, that's where I got the music. The Seminyas tend to be business people, teachers, lawyers, you know, the rest, and some Tsotis in the Seminya family. But the Matupas were really very artistic people. So my introduction into my grandmother's home, my mother's home, that's where I got the music. My cousin, Seila, we used to call him Seila Ntupe, sang with a group called the Fivers. My other cousin also sang with a group. I think, I forget what their name was. I was a kid. These guys were older than me. So Seila, every time he went to rehearse with the Fivers, he would pull me along, because my mother said, don't you ever let him alone. Make sure wherever you are, he's there, because this boy is very naughty, you know. So Seila, definitely he would pull me along with him. And that's how I got introduced into the music. What happened is that one night, one of the Fivers did not pitch up, and he sang tenor, like top voice. This guy didn't come. So Seila says, oh, but my little cousin can sing that part. He's got a tenor voice, you know. And I said, what? And now I had been coming with Seila for many days, and I've been listening to the songs. And somehow I used to sing the songs, Seila Kohai. You know, Seila would sing the song with me, and I would join him. But he was actually preparing me. So that night, they said, sing, you know, and I sang with them. And I was frightened. I was frightened. But after that, after an hour of rehearsal, I began to like this thing. It sounded pretty nice. Maybe it's better than Alexandra Township, Motofiarzwele, and the Outies. So that's where I started. And then with the Cats and Jama Kids, we were the junior woodpeckers. The junior woodpeckers were Victanza Zuluana, Boskara, Pubu. He was young as I was, and he played background. Not him by himself, but with the band that the woodpeckers had put together. So there I was, that's where I met you. We were 15 years old, he and I. And our friendship started from there. And when we went into King Kong, when we used to be paid for 1 and 6, sometimes we never even got paid. You know, 2 shillings and 6 pence, you know, after a whole night of performance. But we liked it. And my mother used to, every time I bring 2 shillings and 6 pence, she would say, oh, she tells the whole village that I've really done so well. But anyway, so Huey used to play a background for us, and the time we went to King Kong, that's when we started to be really professionals. And for the first time in our lives, we were paying £3, 17 shillings and 6 pence. That was by a dummy night. It was gang dummy. So And that's how we became professionals. And then the rest was, we went to the States, and in the States, Baba followed. We were all buddies, even for all of us. I remember one time we were talking about the drums. It was bad. There was this drama did not come. I think they didn't go and Baba was there playing trombone behind us, the guys never, so the drama didn't come. So it didn't make sense for the trombone to be there, the trumpet. So we said, can we try the drums? And Baba said, yeah. It was the worst concert we ever did. And this time I think we were about 17, 18. But anyway, coming to, I don't want to keep you here all day long. But then in the US, I did not tell you how we got there and everything, but then we formed, the three of us, the Union of South Africa. And one of the things that I can tell you about Hugh and Wampa, Hugh was a hard worker, just like I was, just like Wampa was, because when we were growing up, Cobra Kipi made us rehearse. Mama came and said, "Mama, wait, is that good to rehearse?" Sometimes we want to go, but they would say, rehearse. And that's what we did. So we never went on that stage for hours. You remember, we would start at 10 a.m., eat breakfast, and then after 11 o'clock, then we start rehearsing. And maybe knock off 12 midnight, when that says, that's what, that was the union. And of course, the rest of the story with Hugh and ourselves, we will put it in our books. Then you can read, because otherwise... So, like I said, it was...
When we were rehearsing in California, the neighbors, were listening. We thought we would still be playing, but when we stopped, we had to go and play what we were rehearsing. They complained. I used to sleep, one guy said, I used to sleep so well listening to music.
We had to work. And it was nice. And because we respected each other, we did a good job of what we were doing. And many people have asked, what happened with the union? What happened is that we outgrew each other. Hugh had a passion for the stage. Baba had a passion for arrangement. I had a passion for composition. And so we started not to say bye-bye to each other, but to begin to concentrate on what we were about, each one of us. And that is why even up to this day we're still friends. There are many times when we will get together and do something together. But it's hard.
We went on tour in New York, and I got into the car accident. That's where because I was late for 4 months, and coming out of the hospital, the guys had to continue doing something, at the end of the union at that time.
We'll put it in our books.
Yeah, so
thank you for listening. And of course, needless to say, we cannot say, we miss you. We know what it is, because everything else will be cliche. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, can you imagine what Rayu is saying now? With his friends up here on stage. And I really think that we could find spaces where these stories could be told without time limits. Talking about spaces, one of the ambitions and wishes of Rayu was to create a space to represent what he grew up seeing every Sunday. groups of Basotho dancing and singing, groups of the Swazis dancing and singing, the Zulus, the Xhosas, the Pedis, you name them. And he said, that's what I want to see, not only in South Africa, but in the rest of the continent. All this culture that is beautiful, that is inspiring. I guess even songs like Ibalalam, Ngiyalithanda, meant that he is black and he is proud. And this next group is going to represent his pride of our tradition and our music. And especially because they are from Alexandra. But before they start, I've got a message from the June 16 Foundation of Alexandra. They are paying tribute to Hugh, and they say, our hero and beloved Hugh, our Alex pride, your music inspired, encouraged, and made us so bold all the way. Your smiles soothed us, your gift of life united all nations. Your virtue and values birthed giants in Alexandria. We love you, salute. The song, Stimela, empowers all of us. It brings memories of our struggle and hardship. We love you, and we will continuously love you, son of the soil, from the Alexandra June 16 Foundation. And here, please put together your hands for Molepo Traditional Group from Alexandra, paying tribute to Hugh.
The spirit of Hugh Masekela has infused the hall. The next speaker on our program is no introduction. Don Matera. Dr. Don Matera reminds me. Thank you, Brazinga. Come to them, Brazinga.
Itara. Yeah, there is more gentlemen, yes. There. Gentlemen, another chair, gentlemen, detail. Emuwar Baba is not hey, Bangrata Matubana. Hey, you guys are so amused like me, but I don't blame you. I just want to say to Sister Barbara and the family, I have never, ever, not when my father died, not when my mother died, not when so many of my family died. This loss has been so personal for me. So personal. I can't explain it to you. I wrote to the beautiful child, Motalipule. So libitso laka ke monna pula, ke setlogolo sa barolo. Re ba ga mina tsipele thareng. Something was wrenched out of my body. And I wrote and sent this to her. She is our beloved and most kind and giving child. Verily, a massive chunk of living beauty has been wrenched out of our lives. For each one of us, it is a harrowing personal devastation. A great and generous heart has stopped beating its musical notes of caring love and healing compassion for humanity. When comes there another heart so deep, so kind, so gifted, so godly as Hugh Masekela? I loved your father, sweetheart. I love you and all those who wear the humane Masekela badge of Buddha. Please read Psalm 103 to the family. This is not an easy day for me. It is not an easy time. I have been charged by the Living Legends Legacy to work and be there. My leader, Msomi, welcome Msomi, and so many others. Why must we attend funerals all the time? I want to go to God and say, hey, Munimi, your nonsense, come. There's mohos where you can fight. There's violanis where you can go. It is not easy. You don't know. I saved this young man's life twice. Twice. The knives were on his throat. And I said, hey, hi Bamba, hi. Hi Bamba Ilu. And Winnie Khosetzile also. In my dark days of the dawn, Nagashapa Janiela. And those days I did not waste. An eye for an eye, a life for a life. And this young man said to me, Brazinga, Braton, to me, your life changed, man, as a belief, man. So what we have today is a colossal loss. It is something that you will feel in the days to come. When I was badly sick with prostate cancer. This young man donated money to a specialist to help me. When my family, friends, and others were in drugs, he was there for me. So what you have lost is not a politician. No politicians come as close as this. Not as close as this. There are many. I want you to know, I have never, ever been so touched by this death. This was not an easy young man. This was a God. One to give and help his people. We need more of them today. We need more healing in our country. The living legends have put itself out to heal our country, heal our people. Hugh Masekela, he came to Sophia town. He mixed with us. He mixed with many, and he left his mark. Don Matera writes in one of his poems, on barren wastes, Sophia town was born, where rocks and trees stood forlorn, where sunset's beauty was a poet's feast, where man fought man and beast ate beast. In barren wastes, Sophia town was born. But Sophia town rose and gave us what they gave us. And Father Hiddleston came and helped to change us. To me, to kill was nothing, because I didn't see value in that human being. And you said to me, Brazon, Don, jy kan nie so aangaan. Jy's 'n groot man. So what we have today, there are many messiahs, but not all messiahs get crucified. Some of them leave something. Some of them leave a legacy that you can touch and feel and live. I don't know about all his mistakes. Loving women is not a mistake. Never, never, never. Especially if the woman loves you back. And we were like that. County Cullen says the following in a poem that you loved. From the dark tower. It is a painful thing to think how in our country at this time, those who control our diamonds, our gold, our platinum, whatever they control, do not look at the social fabric of this country from the dark tower. It's a long poem. I won't do it now. But I want you to know there's something inside us that is also outside of us. And how it got there, we do not know. We only know that some people are born to be messiahs. Some people are born to heal the wounds of others. Little Jesus came and they knew him not. They loved him not. When Pontius Pilate said, I see no greed, no wrong in this young man. What must I do with him? A voice in the cloud said, crucify him. Today we crucify ourselves. And he never liked it. You never liked what was happening and is happening in our country. And it is time for us to say, Hugh Masekela, You went out of your way to heal our wounds with your singing, your life. Now we must have the legacy of a nation that works to heal its people. Because there is no pain quite like being unloved, unwanted in one's land among one's own people. There's no pain like that. 50 million people sleeping in the streets of this country. We have to regenerate ourselves. This is the only country that we have. In the name of God, in the love of you and many others, let us work to save our country. Because there is no pain quite like being unloved, unwanted among one's own in one's own land. Will the tumor in my fevered mind ever cease its violent throbbing? Will laughter ever flow from the vein of my pen? Because, people of South Africa, Azania, we have to take what you left us. The legacy of caring, the legacy of giving, for His sake. God bless you. I'll cut myself short, but say to you, there is no country like this one. There is no country like this one. Almost 300 million people in this country at this time. May God bless the Masekela family. May God bless our people, our leaders. Open up their minds, because I'm not looking at death, but hey, it comes when it comes. God bless you.
Don Matera, ladies and gentlemen, Brazinga to some of us. The next speaker will be from the industry, from the music industry. Sam Mangwana would represent the industry. Thank you.
Makubenjalo, Makubenjalo, kuze kube kun. Can we stand up and sing this song for Brayu? Kuze kube kuna, kubenjalo Makubenjalo, Makubenjalo, kuze kube kuna pa kate, kuze kube kuna pa kate. Thank you very much. I would like to say thank you and condolences to the family of Masekela and all protocol observed. You know, I grew up in Alexander. I went to school in Alexander. I played my soccer in Alexander. I did everything here in Alexander, so it is nice for me to see that today I come back here because Brayu is here. At no stage did I come to Alexander. I know I do come with little things like funerals and all that. I represent the music industry. I come from all the promoters. I represent all the music promoters or event coordinators. As you know, we as promoters, we cannot do without musicians. That's why today, as I sit and think, I say, hey, you know, in this world, things happen for a good reason. I remember when I thought of doing the show tribute concert, Moritill Park tribute concert, when I grew up, for some reason, I don't know, I used to like the music of Miriam Makeba, Hugh Masekela, Jonas Gwangwa, and all that. So, because I had a liking for their music, and as I grew up, and the time came when they were supposed to come back to South Africa from exile, and my dream was to say to myself, when these guys come back here, we must keep the legacy of their music. But the question I was asking myself is, how are we going to keep the legacy of their music? And one day, a dream came to me to say, you can only keep their music by creating a platform for them to showcase their talent. You know, most of you know, I come from the background of theater. I'm a playwright. I did plays like Bo and Faithful Woman. And I come from the era of Unfaithful Women. Sometimes it pleases me for me to see somebody says to me, Watswa Prasem, I got married to my wife because I took out my girlfriend, and from there, it was history. But I ask myself today, do we still have that? Do we have a situation whereby people can go out and all that? I know because of the crime and all that, we can no longer do that. So when Bo Prayu and Bo Kaifa Siminya came back from overseas, because I wanted to create a platform for them, I wanted to meet them and make sure that I can create a platform for them. I went to various of them. I don't think they will remember. But one incident I will remember is that I wanted to meet Sis Miriam. And when Miriam came, I heard that she was going to have a meeting with some guy at the President Hotel in Johannesburg. Because I wanted to meet this woman, I've heard her music for years and years. And because I wanted to say to her, not only do I like your music, but I want to promote you. I know she had a meeting for 1 o'clock with some promoters. And I went to wait for her to finish the meeting. I think we waited from 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock. But the other thing I remember is that because I waited there and I had parked my car at GP Street, I'm sure she came back at 5 o'clock, 5:15, we met for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, I was happy. I had met her, I only told her, Sis Miriam, I want to keep the legacy of your music. Can you allow me, I don't have money. Can you allow me that one day I must promote your show, and so that the people of South Africa can listen to your show? And she said, yes. Let's continue talking. I went to the other musicians too. I said, I want to keep the legacy of your music. I remember the first show we did at Orlando Stadium. But because I had the passion and I believed in the dream I had to say, we are going to create a show that is going to showcase their music, I did not give up. You know, when I did the show at Orlando Stadium for the first time, when we called it South African Music Heroes Concert, I'm sure I must have had 5,000. And I went to them one by one. I said, guys, I want to put up your show, but mina angnai man, I put nayona man. And they said, now, Prasem, how are you going to pay us? I think the sponsor we had for the first time was one sponsor, and De Beers Diamonds Company. When they heard that we wanted to do this show, they were interested. I remember they gave us 50,000. And as I met with the various musicians to say, I want to do the show, they said, Brasem, but you are paying us little money and you say you don't have money. I say, I took out a receipt and a letter from the sponsor to say they are going to sponsor us for 50,000. They said, is that all you're having? I said, yes. When this show is a success, we are going to share the money. You know, I've never had time to say to Bra Caiaphas, to say to Bra Jonas Gwangwa, to say to House Letter Caiaphas, Letter Mbuli, and to Bra Hugh Masekela. We had a meeting. You remember we had a meeting at the hotel one day, and you said, Brasem, tell us how much money do you have to put up this show? And I said, this is the money I have. It was 50,000. And these guys are top names. But one thing I appreciated is that they said to me, Brasem, we are giving you our blessings, and I've never had time to thank them and tell them that that day when we met and you gave me your rights and your permission to say, put up this show, that is the day you made my name. After the show, we had 5,000 people at Orlando Stadium. And you must know, people don't like going to Orlando Stadium for some reasons. Then after the show, we did not make the money we were supposed to make, but one thing I want to thank these great musicians. I went to them and said, the money I made is this one. So what was happening at the end, I was owing all of them, Brayu, Caiaphas, Jonas Gwangwa, and all that. But what was good from their hearts, they said, Brasem, you've got our blessings to go on with this show. Pay us whatever you have. And the other money that you're going to owe us, you will continue to pay us. You can imagine. But what was good about them, you know, most of the musicians, when you are a promoter and you do a show, if you don't pay them after the show, anything and all that. But they did not do that. And I continue to have the feeling that I can do the show. From there, it was 1998, 1999, we went to Pretoria to do the show. And the show continued. And there's another day I want to remember. We were doing the same show in Durban. And that day, I will never forget, it was raining. It started raining from 5 to 8 in the morning. I've never seen that rain in my life. And I don't want to see that rain in my life as a promoter. So, yeah. So when it was raining, 1 o'clock, you know when it was raining, I was sitting there, I'm worried. I say, hey, you know when we hire artists, we'll say we'll give you, take 50%, we'll give you the balance at the end of the show. 1 o'clock, it's raining and people are not coming. Bo Brayu, Bra Caiaphas, it was Brayu and Bra Caiaphas, Bra Jonas. They come, they looked for me. And when they find me sitting at the backstage, they said to me, Brasem, we are aware that you are worried that we won't perform because there are no people in the show because of the rain. We are not going to blame you for this rain. Relax. We are going to make sure that your show goes on, and they performed for that day. I think they must have performed for maybe 2,000 people. I want to say to them today, if you had not given me an opportunity to say you are going to perform, whether there were people or there were no people, the show of tribute concert would not have survived. This year we are going to celebrate 20 years of the tribute concert, and I want to thank all these great musicians, and I want to ask you to give them a very big hand for having given me a chance. In this world, if somebody does not give you a chance to do something, sometimes you give somebody 5,000 and say, do that. If you don't give them a chance and help them, they will never start something. Today I've started a show which we hire so many artists and people go to the show every year and so many musicians are hired. So gentlemen, I want to say, let me just say this maybe. I want to say I thank you for the gesture, Brayu, and the family of Brayu. I want to thank him in his absence, that he gave me an opportunity to say, continue, Brasem, we will perform the day you get the money. You will pay us. The day you get, how many people have you said to them, do something, and the day you have the money, you'll give me the money? People don't give you a chance in this world. And I want to say, yeah, our time is up, yeah. I want to say to the government, you are not doing enough to promote the culture, the cultural aspect of South African music, theater, and everything. That is why our children today, they can't go out and say, Kadishowi. They can't do that. And we grew up in the time people would go out and see unfaithful women and come back being happy. The last thing I want to say is that I want to say to Brayu, at one stage I was given a privilege to work with Brayu. I remember, I'll mention two instead. We went to Kenya. And when we were in Kenya, when Brayu was still taking his own things, and then time came, Brayu was supposed to go on the stage. He finished. Ha finisha Ramata Remufumane. Later on, 11 o'clock, he goes to the show. And the following day, we had a meeting to go and meet disabled people. So I said, Brayu, but where were you? He said, hey, Brasem, I have a problem. So I forgot that I was going to do this. And that is why, when we came back after some years, he said to me, Brasem, can we work together? I want us to start a show that will say to the youth of South Africa, that will say to the musicians of South Africa, they must not follow in my footsteps because I got hooked in this thing and it nearly messed up my mind. Let us remember him for that.
Thank you, Brasem.
Yeah. And the other thing I want to remember. Yeah, okay, yeah, no, sorry. I'll tell you some other time. Thank you. Thank you. Sorry to have broken your thank you.
Thank you, Brasem. A round of applause for Brasem. Yeah. I always thought I was influential. I could get some people off the stage, but I failed this time. My apologies. Now that he's quoted Kenya, I'd like to quote the President of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta, who was a great friend of Hugh Masekela. And he says, and I quote, Hugh gave the world reason to dance. With those words, I'd like to call Dorothy Masuka to come to the fore to pay tribute to Hugh Masekela. Please give it a round of applause. Welcome, sis. Do you want it here, or do you want to hold it, or is I?
Barbara, sawona mntanam. Sanibona abantu be-Alexander. I'm not going to take much of your time. I'm not a speaker, I'm a singer. And I'm a songwriter. Whew, Mickey. So, Hugh uhambile. Hugh ebemncane kunami. Because the time I started performing in this country, Hugh was still at school. Kodwa ngazomva ngacula nabo Jonas, kuFather Huddleston Band. Ndachazwa yi-sound yakhe. Ndamcela ukuba makangene ku-African Jazz and Variety. Waza ke saqala ukuhamba eSouth Africa. We traveled this country, the whole of South Africa, with African Jazz and Variety. Nala ekhaya Alexander, Dark City. Sasiperforma la. Masagcina ukuzoperforma la. When angisayazi ne ihall ye cinema ikuphi somewhere ne saphuma lapho sigijima sangena ngaphansi kwamatafula nabo sisidoli kwakunzima. Anyway, to cut the long story short, I am saying to you, my brother, rest in peace. Wherever you are, when you reach the destiny where we all have to be some days. Bingelela bonke abantu. Ngifuna ungibingelele uMiriam, hug her for me. Abo Sistandi, abo Sech, abo Victor, yonke la gang. And of course, boss were African Jazz and Variety, because that is the man who introduced black artists in this country to the white public of South Africa. Abo Sech, abo Mang, igenge kaufela. And I am one of the people who is very, very lucky that I had a person like young Hugh Masekela who recorded some of my songs which I wrote when I was young. Kaoleza, Hamba non-tsokolo. So people, they called me non-tsokolo in the Cape. Nala ekhaya, they called me non-tsokolo. And ukaoleza mama is because beslale Pimvili, apa abo anti bebe mbabe mbela isiqo lesimbele phansi. Bese kuyathi abe kukuku amapolisa bangayiboni lento ukuthi ifihlwe kuphi. You see, dasho ndathi khawuleza mama khawuleza. Khawuleza mama khawuleza. Nanga maphoyi sayangena endlini la mama khawuleza 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 mama khawuleza. Thank you very much. Thank you, siyabonga. Hugh, uhambe kakuhle mntanami. Farewell, hamba kahle Hugh, hamba kahle. Hamba kahle mntanami.
Thank you, Mama. Thank you. I would have loved her to sing some more. But in any case, it's time for music now. Please put your hands together to pay tribute to Hugh Masekela, Prince Lingwasa, Victor Masondo, Johan Tetwa, Godfrey Mgina, saying Hambagash.
Mafrika dumelang. La pa la ga ntate Masekela. Kagiso ine le lona. Do you recognize? One of the most generous people I know is Hugh. I am dressed like this today because once he said, well, you're going to conduct my boys, so you have to look the part. And today I want to pay tribute to him by doing a little medley.
we'll end with Hamba Kahle. But I would like to do Mamo Shaba, which is a song of his grandmother. And also say, Relebohile Tata, Kasewur's Drilling Son. Thank you. They want me to come to the front.
Moti from Mikasa. He's from Alexandra, by the way. He could not resist. And Stompy Manana also joined. He could not resist. Thank you to the band. Ladies and gentlemen, we're trying to rush through now. Please welcome on stage the Queen herself, or should we say King? And that's the only one and only Thandiswa Mazwai. Yes, please clap like you really enjoyed that. Thank you. Tandi Somazwai, and of course, with one of my favorite pianists, Nduduzo Makatene. Fana Zulu, Godfrey Nkina on the drums, and that trumpet there, Sianda Zulu. Lovely band. We've almost come to the end, but as we know, we always have to have an official little word before we close things. And it gives me great pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to welcome the Deputy Minister of Arts and Culture, Ms. Makotso Sokyu. You can clap for her, thank you.
Ke a leboha di program directors. Ke dumedise ba leloko la ha Masekela. Ke dumedise kaofela ba tlileng ba tlo tshedisa ba leloko la ha Masekela. And also acknowledge the presence of Minister of Science and Technology, Mena Lady Pando, all the fans and friends of the late Dr. Hugh Masekela, distinguished monarchs, ki dumedise hape le batho kaofela ba mo Alexander. When I joined this department, Minister Pando, 10 months ago, I was very excited because I came from an environment which differs very much from this one. When I was appointed to Department of Arts and Culture as a Deputy Minister, I was a Deputy Minister of Police for the past 7 years. You can imagine how excited I was, thinking that things are very easy this side. Hardly 6 months down the line, Minister, I discovered my first meeting that I had with artists that actually asked for our audience, I was then asked by the minister to go and listen to our artists. It's a the challenges, matata, ebana batla ka ona ho rona as government. I made up my mind, I said, ke ne ke nahana hore ho bima mo ke tswang teng, ho bima mo. The Department of Arts and Culture and Heritage of this country is the heartbeat of this nation, and arts can never be separated from a way of life of any South African. They are intrinsically linked together. Hugh is the manifest of this, because he was not only a musician, he was unapologetically living his music to change our world for the better. I think many things has been said ka Hugh or Hugh ke manna. Nna ke tsebile mmino wa Hugh ke sa le monyane. There's one song that I like the best, the Masekela family. Ke ne ke rata ena re aka sa ke bangu noma lungelo nka bitshonile, because I had a sister, younger sister. Ebene nka bitshonile ekebe nyane. So we ended up calling her Nomalungelo. Until today, everyone is calling her Nomalungelo. That's why indeed one of the songs that I really liked as Hugh was Agasake Banga Unomalungelo. Program directors, that is why today I say on behalf of our department and government, we totally understand and deeply respect Hugh's wish to be alone with his family once on his final farewell day. And as his wish is being honored, we as public representatives and government must start to pay homage by ensuring that in our official cars, we listen to his music. Some of the music is one that I have just mentioned. Also Istimela, that is the coal train. I gave the standard Istimela. My mother even couldn't differentiate good Istimela Stulong ban. Today we say that hoko twele pina ena ya hao ya Hugh Masekela. Tomorrow hoko twele pina ena ya hao ya Kepa Semenya. Then also she likes the song, but that's pina ibinwa ke manna. Program director, as government, we must start to ensure that we appreciate our artists while they are still in good health and in their prime. In this instance, the Ministry of Arts and Culture is now in haste to finalize the new white paper on arts, culture, and heritage to ensure that our artists sustain themselves through their careers of performing and creation. I was listening to one of the speakers, Hannah Bua Mona Ari. I wanted to do 1, 2, 3, but I had only 50,000 rands. I couldn't do anything. And then behind my mind, I was saying that Aruna as government, but that one, when our laws are being implemented the way it's supposed to be implemented. Program directors, we must start to respect our artists by actively empowering them through sustainable programs and projects. It is no use to craft developmental policies that are meant to empower our artists and aspiring ones in schools and elsewhere, if we don't implement them. What's the use then of having those beautiful policies? Because from the time that I've been part of this sector and environment, I discovered that there is a lot that we need to do as a government. I won't take your time, Program Director. My speech is very short because I wrote it while I was there. I wanted to listen what other people are going to say. Just to relate to you what happened a few months ago, I had a meeting of artists. Now, as a new person, you can imagine, Mr. Pando, to me, an artist is a person who sings, a person who acts, a person who jive, a person who do everything. And then this day, I was addressing all of them under one roof. But the others were so quiet, they looked to me as if they are lost. And then at the end, I asked one of them that I know, I said, why ututsi so usabui markiatsiba hore dinaliti problems zengat? And then he said to me, Kaya, I come from the Free State, I come from Mangaung. I was only born, bred in Mangaung, like any got nothing to do with me. Now I'm an actor, I'm not a singer. And these issues, Obuangatsona, they had to do with singers. Is then that I had to go back and sit down and say to the officials, come here, brief me properly. The singers say we must treat them, address the issues that affect her. When it comes to the actors, address them with issues that affect them. When it comes to the fine arts people, just address them that affect her. Otherwise, we will think that we are doing better things for the artists, just to find out that there's nothing that we are doing. Because our laws do then give us that opportunity. Ya gore re kgone gore re empower the artists economically. But if Rona, we don't know what is it that they want, we won't be able then to achieve that as a government. That is why we want officials who always acknowledge inquiries and general correspondence from members of the public. We want officials who actively follow up on complaints, queries, and concerns raised by our artists, be it in our imbizos. Why I'm raising this? Most of the time, you will meet a person at a bank or at a queue at Home Affairs, and then that person will say to you, oh, Deputy Minister, I've written so much letters to your department, not even an acknowledgement. You know, just to acknowledge or we received your letter, it means a lot to an individual. But when we just keep quiet because we don't monitor the officials, then it's a problem. Because people out there, they are looking at me, they are looking at you, Minister, thinking that now we are there operationally. Whereas the people that are supposed to do the actual job are the officials. There it is our job as the ministers, the deputy ministers, or the head of the politicians to make sure that our people do what is expected from them. Let the death of this icon then begin to have profound influence in how we do things in the Department of Arts and Culture for the better. As we feel the great loss of Hugh, let us aspire to be as visionary as him in everything we do as we build this country, South Africa and its arts, culture, and heritage. Robala ka kgotso ngwana wa Thari e ntsho. Ha moya wa hae kaofela rona re amogele se etsahetseng. Re re ho ba leloko phephi. Robala ka kgotso Hugh. Empa ke batla ho tshepisa hore I have listened and I have taken note of everything that has been raised here with regard to our responsibility as the Department of Arts and Culture. And I promise you, Program Director, so that we can try and assist our artists. Thank you very much.
As we come to the end of our program, I'd like to make two announcements. The first one is the Hugh Masekela Heritage Park at the Zoo Lake started today, and it will be on until next Thursday. Starts at 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. in the evening. And this is a lovely space to say goodbye to Huey. It is a tranquil, serene area. There will be footage, music, and visuals. Please go and stop by. The second announcement is that on Sunday at UJ, University of Johannesburg, at the Soweto campus, a second memorial service will be held. This will be a musical celebration which will start at 12 p.m., 12 noon, until we are kicked out of Soweto. Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bra Louis. As we say thank you to everybody, those who put today's event together, but more importantly, for all of you for coming here today to celebrate and pay homage to the son of South Africa, the son of Africa, the son of the world, Hugh Masekela. But also more importantly, we'd like to thank the Masekela family for being gracious and allowing us to be part of celebrating his life in this memorial way. And I'd like to also say and acknowledge in our presence the former First Lady of South Africa, Mrs. Zanele Mbeki, who is here with us today as well. So, we're going to see you in Zulek, we're going to see you in Soweto at the Memorial Park, and when the Soweto Memorial finishes, please make sure you tune into Metro FM between 9 and 12, because SABC has agreed to give me 3 hours dedicated to Bra Hugh. So I am honored to do that. Ladies and gentlemen, the Masekela family thanks you very much. And on behalf of the Masekela family, we'd like, me and Bra Louis, we'd like to say thank you as well. And I think it's nice to wrap things up with a Hugh Masekela song, don't you think? Mr. DJ, let's take him home with his music.
Abantu izilwane nabo